Ben Hogan died at 84, but his story is finally being revealed as one of the most incredible comebacks in sports history. The man known as the Hawk didn't just play golf, he conquered it through sheer force of will, surviving poverty, tragedy, and a near-fatal car crash that should have ended everything. This is the real story of how a blacksmith's son from Texas became a legend. Ben Hogan's journey began in the roughest way possible. Born in 1912 in Dublin and Stephenville, Texas, he grew up in a family that had almost nothing. When Ben was just 9 years old, his world shattered completely. His father, a local blacksmith, took his own life. This tragic event didn't just break young Ben's heart. It threw his entire family into poverty. The loss forced Ben to grow up fast. By age 11, he was walking 7 miles each way to Glen Garden Country Club in Fort Worth, working as a caddy just to help his family survive. For 65 cents per round, he would carry golf bags and watch the wealthy players he served. But Ben wasn't content to just watch. During breaks, he would hit balls on the driving range, teaching himself to play through endless trial and error. Ben wasn't naturally gifted at golf. He used a cross-handed grip and couldn't hit the ball as far as other kids. Often, he had to pick up balls for the older caddies. But what Ben lacked in talent, he made up for with an incredible work ethic. He hit more balls than anyone else, studying every swing and learning from every player he caddied for. His father's background as a blacksmith gave Ben a unique advantage. Growing up around a metal and tools, he understood how force and impact worked. He treated the golf club like a forging tool and the ball like metal to be shaped. This understanding of physics would later help him develop one of the most precise swings in golf history. The tragedy of losing his father left deep scars on Ben's personality. He became guarded and private, building walls around himself that would earn him the nickname the Hawk. To most people, he seemed cold and distant. But this wasn't who he really was. It was armor, protection against a world that had hurt him so badly. In 1931, Ben turned professional, but success didn't come easy. For an entire decade, he struggled on the PGA Tour. He went broke multiple times and had to leave golf to work as a bellhop, card dealer, and club pro just to eat. Later in life, he would say his biggest accomplishment wasn't winning tournaments. It was simply making a living playing golf after going broke so many times. This period taught Ben his most important life lesson. If you can't outplay them, outwork them. His dedication wasn't born from a love of practice. It was born from desperation. He was a poor boy trying to survive in a rich man's game. Every swing was a step toward escaping poverty. The turning point came in 1940 at the North and South Open at Pinehurst. Ben arrived with only $30 in his pocket and bald tires on his car. He was ready to quit professional golf and return to Texas as a club pro, but somehow he managed to win the tournament, beating Sam Snead. After 7 years without a single victory, Ben finally had his breakthrough. He famously said, "I won one just in time," knowing this victory had saved his dreams. Now here's where Ben's story gets really interesting, and I want to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think was the most important factor in Ben's eventual success? His tragic childhood that forced him to be tough, or his incredible work ethic that came from desperation? Subscribe to this channel and let me know what you find most inspiring about his comeback story, because what happened next was truly remarkable. Ben became obsessed with perfecting his golf swing, driven by a hatred for one particular shot, the hook. He described this fear with intense emotion, saying the hook was like a rattlesnake in your pocket. For Ben, controlling his shots wasn't just about playing better golf. It was about controlling chaos in a life that had dealt him too much pain. He changed his grip multiple times and developed what became known as the pane of glass concept. He imagined his swing staying under an invisible glass pane, keeping everything precise and controlled. His swing became a symphony of precision, with his head staying perfectly still and his body moving like a machine. Ben's pursuit of perfection led him to write a book called 5 Lessons: The Modern Fundamentals of Golf. This book shared his secrets with dedicated students of the game, though he kept many details to himself. The mystery of Hogan's secret still fascinates golfers today. By 1949, Ben was at the peak of his career with 2 major championships. Then, on February 2nd, everything changed forever. While driving with his wife Valerie, their car was hit head-on by a Greyhound bus. Ben's injuries were devastating. a double fracture of the pelvis, a broken collarbone, and life-threatening internal damage. In a moment that showed his true character, Ben threw himself in front of Valerie to protect her from the steering wheel. This heroic act may have saved both their lives. Doctors weren't sure he would survive, and his golf career seemed finished. But Ben's legendary willpower refused to accept defeat. He had to learn to walk again and endure horrible pain, but his desire to return to golf was unbreakable. Less than 18 months after the crash, he shocked the world by not just returning to competition, but winning the 1950 U.S. Open at Marion Golf Club. His famous one-iron shot on the final hole became one of the most iconic images in golf history. The car crash completely changed how people saw Ben Hogan. Before the accident, he was viewed as an almost inhuman perfectionist, the cold, distant hawk. His talent was undeniable, but his personality made him hard to connect with. The crash showed his vulnerability and transformed his story from one of pure technical skill into a profound tale of human strength. People saw a man who had faced death and overcome unimaginable physical pain to return to the sport he loved. This journey made him human in the public's eyes, shifting his legacy from that of a perfectionist to a symbol of never giving up. Ben's greatest triumph came in 1951 at the U.S. Open at Oakland Hills Country Club in Michigan. The course was so difficult that players called it the Monster. After struggling through the first 3 rounds, Ben was tied for 5th place. Then he played one of the finest final rounds in golf history, shooting a 67 to win his 3rd U.S. Open. His comment after the victory perfectly captured his mindset. "I'm glad I brought this course, this monster, to its knees." This wasn't just a golf victory. It was a statement that he had not only recovered from his accident, but had returned as an even stronger competitor. 2 years later, in 1953, Ben achieved what many consider the greatest season in golf history. He won 5 of the 6 tournaments he entered, including 3 major championships in 1 year. He set a new Masters scoring record, then won his 4th U.S. Open at Oakmont by 6 shots. Ben then faced a choice that would define his legacy. He could play the PGA Championship to try for 4 majors in 1 year, or travel overseas to compete in the Open Championship for the first time. Few American players made this trip because the prize money was small and the schedules conflicted. Ben chose to go to Scotland, not for money, but for the challenge itself. He once said, "If the Masters offered no money at all, I would be here trying just as hard." His journey to Carnoustie was about testing himself against the unknown. A foreign course, different rules, and a smaller British golf ball. For 2 weeks, Ben practiced with the British ball, adapting his game to unfamiliar conditions. When the tournament began, he created Hogan's Alley at the 6th hole, a 565-yard monster that most players approached safely from the right side of a split fairway. Ben saw that the hole opened up from the left side, but getting there required threading his drive between a deep bunker and an out-of-bounds fence. It was a high-risk, high-reward shot that he executed perfectly in all 4 rounds. This feat of precision and courage became legendary, cementing his place in golf immortality. Ben won the Open by 4 shots, proving his mastery was universal and could transcend any course or condition. It was his only appearance in the Open, but it completed his career Grand Slam and showed the world that his greatness knew no borders. Beyond his playing career, Ben's perfectionism drove everything he did. In 1953, he founded the Ben Hogan Company to manufacture golf clubs that met his exact standards. His philosophy was simple: there are no shortcuts in the quest for perfection. He once had $100,000 worth of clubs thrown away because they didn't meet his standards. The world knew Ben as the cold, uncommunicative hawk who seemed to take pleasure in keeping people at a distance. But those closest to him knew a completely different man. He was warm, generous, and caring with the few people he trusted. He doted on his nieces and helped those in need. His public persona was the armor he had built to protect himself from a world that had caused him so much pain. The distant demeanor was necessary for survival, forged in the fires of his father's suicide and years of financial struggle. But his private self was the real Ben Hogan, a man who could finally drop his guard with those he loved. Ben Hogan's legacy is a perfect combination of all the elements that shaped his life. His poverty created a work ethic born from necessity. This work ethic led to a scientific approach to golf that resulted in a swing designed to overcome his greatest flaws. The 1949 car crash tested everything he had built, and his comeback proved the ultimate strength of his character. He didn't just play golf, he changed how the game was played and how mastery was pursued. His influence lives on in swing mechanics, practice philosophy, and the very idea that perfection can be achieved through dedicated work. Ben Hogan's story proves that through sheer force of will, a person can conquer not only their competition, but also their hardships and personal struggles. If this incredible story of perseverance inspired you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more amazing sports legends. Ben Hogan showed us that no matter how hard life hits, we can always fight back and achieve greatness through dedication and an unbreakable spirit.